Okay, rulers, settle down. Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to get singles for all your Force of Will and other trading card games, as well as these amazing patrons. Special thanks to guest lecturer member Vite Ramen. Thank you for your support. Class is in session. Hey there, rulers. DMO73 here, bringing you the deck profile for Astema, Asmodeus, Time Goddesses. This list is a ton of fun. We made a couple of changes since the feature match, but we do want to go through it. Just real quick to stones, we're going 4 6 Sage, 3 Scorched Bales, 2 Heaven's Rift, and 1 Heat Ray. We were finding we needed red a little bit more, and so we changed the stone base up a little bit for that. Going into the rulers, obviously we are playing Astema and Asmodeus. Asmodeus forces us to be able to do the 60 cards, and then we can use it to sacrifice to keep things safe, or kind of like mitigate a value that our opponent is getting and turn it into value for us, fuel the RFG, deck thin, put +1/+1 counters on stuff, as well as use the cradles, which are very, very cool cards. And then also just obviously being able to have the flexibility of his God's Art. It can do a lot of work. It can be defensive, aggressive, draw power, setup, all kinds of cool stuff. So don't sleep on that ability nearly as much as you think when you first look at him. And then obviously we're playing Astema. This is for value engine, really. We understand that we have to get our opponent down to 0 and then swap her out, but the value she generates on flip, as well as just every turn being able to get us an extra will or an extra card on either our turn or our opponent's turn, just puts in a lot of work. So really like it a lot. She's a lot of fun. You can flip her early, you can flip her late, you can do all kinds of cool stuff to make that happen. Going into the main deck, we're playing 2 Palaces of the 3 Goddesses. This card becomes a 2-cost super fast, gets us a ton of value, especially considering, you can suddenly make your white cards angels, or goddesses, because of the big hitter of the deck, the Gatekeeper of Elsevaria. So it's a very cool card that gets around Garion because of its weird cost requirement that also just generates a ton of value. 3 Necronomicon Barriers, so we see it often enough. We want this to be able to turn off enter effects. Same reason why we're playing 3 Witch of the Fallen Kingdom. These are just good cards that if you're in a black base, you're probably playing at least 3 of each. 2 copies of Charlotte. This is so that we have a way to be able to put a body on board and also just have the flexibility of her 1-drops, while also being able to potentially turn off our Astema really quickly if our opponent's not paying attention, because we play a Charlotte's light transformation magic in the sideboard, which you can use on Astema to remove all of her abilities when she has flipped. 4 copies of Virgil. This card is insane. It just creates so much flexibility, so much pressure for board wiping, for life gaining, for spot removal, for being a Vlad, for turning off a ruler quickly. Just all kinds of good stuff that just really hits home. 3 copies of Skuld. We did play Urthurs before. We removed the Urthurs in place of just more Virgil. 3 copies of Urthur because it's very easy to make her suddenly this 8/8 with swiftness, if not bigger, because of the tokens from the God's Art. Same thing with Athena, Guardian of Blaze. Really, really cool to be able to put those +1/+1 counters on her right away with the God's Art and just push a lot of life gain and pressure. 4 copies of Gatekeeper, be able to draw as well as fuel our RFG, which is awesome. 4 Keeper of the Past, Verdandi, more draw power, more flexibility there, and being a nice little 1-cost threat. 4 copies of Asmodeus Demon, because the life loss element is kind of huge, and once again, you can put a lot of +1/+1 counters on this guy to do a lot of value. 3 copies of Lumia, Princess of Rebirth, Wings of Light. We're in black-white, so there's really not reason to play these guys. Just being able to have the flexibility of draw power and life gain, as well as spot removal, or both, that's in color, is really good. 4 copies of Alisaris, the Invader of God City. This guy is always going to cost 2, and the flexibility of putting a body on board while also getting any card back from your RFG for later is awesome. 1 copy of Banquet Demon, just to fill out the 60 cards, and because it's repeatable, it's very easy to play this guy and keep him protected because of his own bounce back to his hand effect, and eventually you can just burn your opponent out. 2 copies of Inferno. We went up from 1 to 2. This is because we were tired of drawing it and then not or getting it RFG'd by an unfortunate effect, and then not being able to maximize the God Art of Astema, so we've gone up to 2. And then the Cradles, these are insane with Asmodeus. All 3 of them are great. Scorching Heat to clear boards, Cradle of Hope to be defensive as well, has put up some maybe aggression with the tokens, and Crippling Despair to control your opponent's discard as needed. Just very, very good overall cards. Absolutely adore them, and the fact that they can't trip on enter is great. 4 copies of Raise and Revive, because we're RFGing so much that you can get pretty much anything you want out of this, especially since it can hit any entity. You can just do a lot of really good work here, as well as being spot removal. Memory of Disappearance, for the same reason why we're playing Allosaurus. We're RFGing our deck a lot, so we want to be able to get that stuff back. This is essentially thinning our deck down to 52 cards total with the Allosaurus and then this, which is great. And then 2 copies of Gradius as a way to be able to turn off Astema potentially if we get to that point in the game and kind of get a little cheeky. And then, of course, we're playing one of Satan in the sideboard. Your sideboard can really be flexible. You can play a Dante as well, or, any kind of one-cost things that you want. A 4th Black Witch, so you can do the Black Witch into Black Witch combo. All kinds of cool stuff. But obviously, you want the stand here so that you do have a way to be able to win the game with Astema consistently once you get your opponent down to 0 life. So that is the deck. I had an absolute blast building this. It was a great combination of new and old cards. Super fun to use them in a brand new way. And I hope you got to really enjoy it when watching it and try it out for yourself. But until next time, this is Demo73 saying class dismissed.